Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we put the why in weird and the how in how is this even a thing? Today's spooky little mystery comes from one of our curious viewers, Spooky Myers _30. Thanks for the suggestion, Myers. You asked, when did trick-or-treating start? Well, grab your plastic pumpkin bucket, because we're diving into the candy-coated history of trick-or-treating, where it came from, how it got so popular, and why we let children threaten us for sugar every October 31st. Let's unwrap this like a mini Snickers bar, right here on Explaining Everything. Long before kids were running around, dressed as mini Spider-Men and inflatable dinosaurs, people were souling. No, not soul-searching, souling. Back in medieval Britain and Ireland, people would go door to door on All Souls' Day, which falls right after Halloween, and offer prayers for the dead in exchange for food. Think of it as the original version of trick-or-treating, but with fewer Snickers and more solemn chants. Children and poor folks would knock on doors and say, "Hey, I'll pray for your dearly departed if you give me some soul cakes." Soul cakes were small pastries that were the sad, medieval cousins of cookies. And guess what? That's not even the weirdest part. Now, let's rewind even further to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. This was a celebration marking the end of the harvest and the start of the darker half of the year. Basically, nature's version of turning off the lights and saying, "Winter's coming, good luck." The Celts believed that on the night of October 31st, the boundary between the living and the dead blurred. So, to avoid being kidnapped by ghosts or judged by your dead Aunt Maureen, people wore disguises, usually animal skins or creepy masks, to confuse the spirits. In other words, costumes. Yep, dressing up as a sexy vampire or a giant taco has ancient roots. You're continuing a proud, weird tradition. Be proud. So, how did we get from pagan ghost avoidance cosplay to what we now know as Halloween? Fast forward to the 8th century, and the Catholic Church decided to Christianize things, as they often did. They declared November 1st as All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day, which made the night before, you guessed it, All Hallows' Eve. Over time, people got lazy, as we do, and it got squished down to Halloween. The traditions of souling, dressing up, and playing pranks all kind of blended in one spooky stew. Immigrants brought these customs to America in the 19th and early 20th centuries, especially Irish and Scottish folks who came over after realizing potatoes aren't a reliable life plan. Here's a fun twist. Trick-or-treating didn't originally revolve around candy. It was more like organized chaos with a dash of blackmail. In the early 20th century, Halloween in the US was less fun-size bars and more let's cause mayhem. Kids would go around pulling pranks, like soaping windows, tipping outhouses, or filling mailboxes with live frogs, which is either hilarious or terrifying, depending on your stance on frogs. Eventually, adults were like, okay, how do we make this holiday less destructive? Answer: bribe the children with sugar. And it worked. Thus, the modern form of trick-or-treating was born. Offer candy in exchange for not having your front porch toilet papered. capitalism saves the day again. Trick-or-treating, as we know it, exploded in the 1950s, post-World War II, when the US was all about suburban life, wholesome family activities, and desserts in Jell-O form. By this time, candy companies were like, "Wait, are we giving away cookies and fruit? Unacceptable." They jumped on the Halloween bandwagon faster than a kid spotting a full-size candy bar house. Ads started popping up telling parents to hand out candy, preferably in individually wrapped portions. By the 1970s, homemade treats were out. Candy was king, and kids had developed an elite sixth sense for spotting which neighbors were handing out the good stuff versus raisins. Seriously, who still hands out raisins? Today, trick-or-treating is a full-blown cultural event. Costumes now range from classic monsters to pop culture icons, toddlers in tiny shark outfits, and at least 400 Barbies and Kens every Halloween. There are entire pumpkin spice empires built around spooky season. Halloween has officially gone pro. You've also got trunk-or-treating, mall trick-or-treating, and Halloween parades. And yes, there are still a few dentists out there trying to hand out toothbrushes. Don't be that person. So the next time you see a horde of costumed kids marching down your street like a sugar-fueled parade, just remember, they're part of a long, weird, and hilarious history that started with prayers for the dead and ended with mini Milky Ways. And if you ever find yourself handing out candy and wondering why you're exchanging Kit Kats for knock-knock jokes from kids dressed as tacos and inflatable T-Rexes, just smile and embrace the chaos. Because Halloween isn't just about the sugar rush. It's a bizarre, beautiful mashup of history, tradition, and our collective agreement that one night a year, it's normal to wear a witch hat and demand candy from strangers. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.